Shedeur Sanders looked into an ESPN camera, smiled like he already knew the storm he was about to cause, and said the line that stopped the entire sports world in its tracks. "I can't control who benches me, but everybody knows what happens when I actually get to play." Boom. Mic drop. Locker room, grenade. PR nightmare. That wasn't just a soundbite, it was a statement. Not whispered behind closed doors. Not leaked through anonymous sources.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
That was primetime defiance, served raw, live, and unapologetic. And let's be very clear here, this wasn't a slip-up. It wasn't a rookie being emotional. It wasn't some heat-of-the-moment outburst. It was calculated. It was controlled. It was surgical. Because Shedeur Sanders didn't just challenge Kevin Stefanski's coaching decisions. He exposed the power imbalance in Cleveland's organization, and then flipped it on its head. And the league? Oh, it felt it. Within minutes, the clip was trending. Social media detonated. Players across the NFL were reposting it. Commentators were rewriting their segments in real time. Even ESPN's own panel had to pause, like, wait, did he just say that on air? Yes. Yes, he did. And in doing so, Shedeur didn't just embarrass Kevin Stefanski. He shattered the illusion of control the Browns' coaching staff has been clinging to like a life raft. Because here's what we all need to understand. This moment? It wasn't just about Shedeur versus Stefanski. This was old school versus new school. Command and control versus collaboration. Closed-door leadership versus transparent authenticity. This was a culture war, broadcast live, in HD. Let's rewind a bit. For weeks, no months, the Browns have kept Shedeur locked in a bizarre purgatory. Everyone knows he's good. He's outplayed backups in practice. His brief in-game action? Electric. He's got the numbers. He's got the film. He's got the momentum. And yet, he rides the bench. Not because he's not ready, but because Kevin Stefanski and the system above him is terrified of being proven wrong. They drafted Shedeur, yes, but they didn't plan to use him, at least not this soon. And now that he's proven too good to ignore, their worst nightmare is unfolding. The kid isn't just talented, he's self-aware. He knows what he is. He knows what they're doing. And now, so does the entire country. That one line, everybody knows what happens when I actually get to play, is already being printed on t-shirts in Cleveland. You think that's just merch? That's a movement. And Kevin Stefanski? He looked like a deer in headlights in his post-game presser. Reporters didn't even have to ask the hard questions. They just kept saying, "Did you hear what Shedeur said?" and watched him squirm. No answers. Just deflection. Classic coach speak. We're evaluating all positions. We like where our team is. We're focused on next week. Yeah, sure you are. Meanwhile, the locker room? It's buzzing. Because players respect a lot of things, grit, toughness, skill. But nothing earns respect like telling the truth when it costs you. Shedeur didn't play it safe. He didn't protect his brand. He spoke up. And that resonated. Younger guys see it as boldness. A leader refusing to be silenced. Veterans see it as courage. A rookie standing up to politics. Fans see it as finally, someone inside the building saying what they've been screaming from the stands for weeks. And that's why this moment hit so hard. It was the truth. Unfiltered. Unapologetic. Undeniable. And when the truth goes viral, it becomes leverage. Because what can Stefanski say now? That Shedeur's not ready? He just handled a national interview with more poise than half the starters in the league. That he's too confident. Please. Confidence isn't the problem. It's the coaches who lack it. Let's talk about that. Kevin Stefanski is watching this entire situation slip through his fingers. And it's entirely self-inflicted. The team's inconsistent. The offense is sputtering. The locker room's leaking. And now, his quarterback room is being held hostage by his own ego. You had the chance to bring Shedeur in early. Let him develop. Build the offense around him. Or at least give him a legitimate shot. Instead, you got scared. You protected the status quo. And now, the status quo just threw you under the bus, live, on ESPN. Let's be honest. The coaching staff was banking on silence. They thought Shedeur would take the back seat, do the polite rookie thing, nod through interviews, and keep quiet while they evaluated. But Shedeur? He's not here to play along. He's not going to be your quiet insurance policy. He's not here to wait for someone to get injured. He's not going to pretend that everything's fine when it's clearly not. This isn't a tantrum. It's a tactical call-out. He's forcing the Browns to make a decision, not just about him, but about who they are as an organization. Are they a team that empowers talent, or one that fears it? Are they evolving with the league, or stuck in a 90s power structure? Do they lead with vision, or cower behind titles and job descriptions? Because here's the kicker. Shedeur isn't just winning hearts on social media. He's winning numbers. Let's run it down. His completion percentage? Higher than both QBs ahead of him. His yards per attempt? More explosive. Red zone efficiency? Better. Leadership presence? Undeniable. And he's doing all this without even starting. The data doesn't lie. The film doesn't lie. The locker room isn't lying. And now, Shedeur's done lying to himself. He's ready. The fans know it. The league knows it. And thanks to that ESPN segment, now the world knows it. So where does this go next? Let's just say there's no putting this toothpaste back in the tube. This isn't something the Browns can spin away. Not with a press release. Not with a carefully worded tweet. Not with a post-game handshake and some "we respect our players" rhetoric. No, that moment was public. And now, the pressure is relentless. You've got players and fans calling for change. You've got reporters tracking every rep in practice. You've got ownership apparently holding internal meetings and reviewing leadership decisions, which is corporate speak for somebody's about to get fired. And then there's Shedeur, still calm, still grinding, still posting cryptic Instagram stories that light the internet on fire. He knows he lit the fuse. He knows what's coming, and he's ready for it. So the only question left is Cleveland? Because if they don't make a move soon, they're going to lose this moment. They're going to lose the locker room. They're going to lose Shedeur Sanders. And when that happens, don't say he didn't warn you. Don't say the writing wasn't on the wall. Don't say no one saw this coming. He told you. Live. On TV. With the whole world watching. Everybody knows what happens when I actually get to play. So now, let him play. And if they don't worry. Someone else will. Now drop your thoughts in the comments. Was Shedeur out of line, or just ahead of his time? And what should Cleveland do next? Fire Stefanski? Start Sanders? Trade him? Or sit back and watch the meltdown? Whatever happens, subscribe. Because if this is where the Browns' drama starts, we cannot wait to see how it ends. The energy's shifted. The fuse is lit. And no matter how many forced smiles or "we're focusing on football" cliches the Browns trot out, they are not in control of this narrative anymore. Shedeur Sanders is. And he's not just holding the mic. He's orchestrating the entire show. This isn't just a player speaking out. This is a quarterback stepping into power. It's a strategic checkmate in the oldest game the NFL plays, ego versus evolution. And Kevin Stefanski? He just got caught playing 1990s ball in a 2025 world. Let's talk about that, because this isn't just a Cleveland story anymore. This moment, this bold, unfiltered, live TV takedown, it marks a cultural shift that's been brewing in pro sports for a while. The old school model? Obey the coach. Stick to the script. Don't rock the boat. You play, you shut up, you smile. But Shedeur? He's part of the new wave. Smart, media savvy, composed, and dangerous in the best possible way. Because he's not just playing the game, he's playing the system. He knows exactly how to apply pressure, how to control a headline, how to shift a locker room without ever raising his voice. That ESPN segment? That wasn't emotion, it was a chess move. And what happens when you corner a system that thrives on silence? It panics. You're seeing it in real time. Stefanski suddenly cutting interviews short. internal discussions being leaked to the media. Coaches awkwardly tap dancing around quarterback questions. Analysts who were silent 2 weeks ago now suddenly calling for Shedeur to start. Because this moment didn't just shake Cleveland, it's shaking the entire league. NFL front offices are watching. They're taking notes. They're realizing that the player empowerment movement isn't just about social media and shoe deals. It's about actual influence. And Shedeur? He just launched a blueprint. Use the platform. Speak clearly. Speak strategically. And do it when the world is watching. Now the Browns are staring down a PR avalanche. Every day, they keep Sanders on the bench. They look weaker. Every snap he doesn't take is another reminder that this franchise is more committed to its insecurities than its future. And let's not pretend Stefanski hasn't heard the footsteps. He's coaching like a man looking over his shoulder. The decisions? Tighter. The post-game tone? Defensive. The team? Flat. Because once the locker room senses that leadership is afraid, game over. That's what makes Shedeur's moment so deadly. He didn't just call out Stefanski. He exposed him. He showed every single player in that locker room that the man making the calls is no longer in control. Because when a third-string quarterback can go on national TV, throw a veiled dagger at his coach, and come out of it more respected than ever, that's not just power. That's leadership. And it's not the kind you're taught at press conferences. It's the kind that grows in silence. The kind that builds when people see you putting in the work, staying patient, and then, at the exact right moment, dropping the truth like a thunderclap. And make no mistake, this wasn't Shedeur losing patience. This was Shedeur asserting presence. It was his, "I'm not here to wait my turn. I'm here to take it" moment. You could see it in the clip. The posture, the timing, the calmness. This wasn't some locker room rant caught on a hot mic. It was deliberate, on brand, on message, on fire. And now, the dominoes are falling. Reports are already swirling. Stefanski's seat heating up. Ownership evaluating long-term leadership structure. Locker room split on trust in coaching decisions. Players approaching agents privately about instability. You don't get those headlines from just one quote. You get them from a quote that hits truth. Because that's what Shedeur dropped, not drama, not a tantrum, truth. And the league knows it. The players know it. Hell, even the fans know it. That's why jersey sales have spiked. Why clips of his quote are being remixed like a mixtape. Why the Browns subreddit has gone full uprising mode. And you know what else is wild? Stefanski's people tried to spin it. Tried to say Shedeur didn't mean it like that. That it was taken out of context. That it was just a frustrated young player. Please. No one's buying that. Especially not Shedeur's teammates, many of whom are now openly backing him. One veteran offensive lineman liked the clip within minutes of it airing. Another retweeted it with a single fire emoji. A current defensive starter quoted the line in a press scrum and said, "Facts." Facts. That one word is more damaging than any media headline. Because it means the locker room is no longer behind Stefanski. They're behind Shedeur. And if you know anything about football, you know this. When the locker room chooses a quarterback over a coach, the clock starts ticking. So here's the big question. What does Stefanski do now? Does he double down, bench Shedeur even harder, and risk looking like a dictator running out of soldiers? Or does he swallow his pride, start the kid, and try to salvage what little control he has left? Either way, it's not going to end quietly. Because now it's not just about who should play quarterback. It's about who runs the Browns. And right now, that answer might not be wearing a headset. It might be wearing a chain, sitting on the sideline, and waiting for the call he's already earned. That's the craziest part of all this. Shedeur Sanders hasn't even started a game, and he's already shifted an entire franchise. Through presence, through patience, through precision. This isn't just the rise of a quarterback, it's the rise of a new era. One where athletes don't just show up and perform. They lead. One where communication matters as much as completion percentage. One where confidence isn't arrogance, it's currency. And Shedeur? He's spending wisely. So buckle up. Because this saga, It's far from over. The coach might still be on the sideline. The play calling might still come from the headset. But the power? The power just changed hands. And it changed on live TV. Because here's the thing no one in Cleveland wants to admit. Not the coaching staff, not the executives trying to patch this dumpster fire together with zip ties and PR spin, and certainly not Kevin Stefanski, whose seat might as well be on fire. The Browns are no longer Stefanski's team. Not in the locker room. Not in the media. Not in the eyes of the fans. Not since Shedeur Sanders flipped the script. That one sentence, I can't control who benches me, but everybody knows what happens when I actually get to play, wasn't just a quote. It was a line in the sand. It was Shedeur claiming his narrative. It was him breaking out of the system that tried to silence him. It was him daring the Browns to stop pretending. And now the walls are crumbling. Let's be real. Kevin Stefanski was already under pressure before this. The offense has looked stale. The QB room is more confusing than a Christopher Nolan film. Every week, the post-game interviews feel like hostage videos. But Shedeur's call-out? That was the spark that ignited the explosion. And it wasn't just public. It was controlled detonation, straight through ESPN's broadcast signal, where everyone could see the blast radius in real time. What followed wasn't just media hysteria. It was organizational freefall. Let's break it down. Within 24 hours of the broadcast, internal sources, the same ones that used to leak about player immaturity, started leaking a different narrative. That Stefanski had lost the room. Not hypothetically, not in theory, literally, lost. The locker room. Players confused. Meetings turning tense. Position coaches whispering about changes coming. Staffers bracing for the inevitable shift. And then, the big one, an emergency ownership meeting. That's right. Reports say Jimmy Haslam and key members of the Browns brass called an unscheduled meeting immediately following the ESPN moment, not to talk about wins or losses, not to break down film, but to assess organizational direction. Translation: what do we do about Shedeur? And here's the kicker. The answer wasn't silence him. It wasn't discipline him. It wasn't even ignore him. It was figure it out, before this turns into a full-blown mutiny. Because let's not pretend this is just a QB situation. This is about control, and who has it. And right now, Shedeur's not just gaining control. He's redefining it. He didn't go to the media and cry foul. He didn't trash the coaches. He didn't beg for attention. He looked straight into a camera, told the truth with a smile, and let the world decide who they believed. And spoiler alert, they believed him. That's why his merch is selling out. That's why every NFL podcast from LA to New York is debating, what would you do if you were the Browns right now? That's why players in other locker rooms are texting, yo, that kid is the real deal. He's already won the public narrative. And now, he's starting to win the internal one, too. Because here's the dirty secret Stefanski doesn't want you to know. Half the team already wants Shedeur to start. They won't say it in pressers. Not yet. But behind closed doors, that's the talk. That's the vibe. And you can't stop that vibe with coach speak. You can't bury it in we're sticking to the plan. You can't coach around the fact that your locker room sees a spark on the sideline, and they're tired of pretending it's not there. And honestly, it's hard to blame them. Let's look at Shedeur's stats, even with limited reps, even in garbage time scenarios. His decision-making? Elite. His pocket presence? Calm. His arm talent? NFL ready. His leadership? Undeniable. The guy's walking around the facility like he already owns the future. Because deep down everyone knows. He does. It's just the coaching staff that's behind. And that gap? That refusal to evolve? That clinging to control while the franchise literally shifts around them? That's what's killing the Browns. Because it's not the losses. Fans can forgive losing. It's the fear, the timidity, the we know better, arrogance in the face of reality. Shedeur gave them a way out, a moment, a line in the sand. All they had to do was cross it. But instead, they're stuck, frozen, waiting for something to change, while the world keeps turning without them. And that's why this is more than just a quarterback controversy. This is the start of a new NFL era. Because here's the thing, Shedeur Sanders just proved that you don't need to be the starter to be the leader. You don't need to be handed power when you can command it. He didn't break the rules. He just rewrote them. And in doing so, he became the face of something way bigger than the Cleveland Browns. He became a symbol of athlete empowerment, of unapologetic truth, of Gen Z fire meeting old guard insecurity. This isn't just about football anymore. This is about who gets to control the story. And for the first time in forever, it's not the coach. It's not the front office. It's the player. Shedeur is leading with his voice before he's even led with his arm. And that's what makes this whole situation so explosive. Because if he's already flipping the narrative from the sideline, imagine what happens when he gets on the field. Imagine the headlines. Imagine the fan response. Imagine the absolute meltdown from the people who tried to contain him. Because no matter what happens next, whether Stefanski finally gives in or the Browns double down on dysfunction, this story is already in motion. You can't unring this bell. The locker room is watching. The league is watching. And most importantly, Shedeur is watching. Quiet, composed, smiling, knowing, ready. So here's the final word. The Browns may still be pretending this is business as usual. But we all know the truth. Business is not as usual. This is Shedeur's era now, whether they want it or not. Now, tell us what you think. Was Shedeur out of line? Or is he the voice of a generation tired of being silenced? Should Stefanski start him next game, or is it already too late? And how long can the Browns keep pretending they're in control when the quarterback they're trying to bury just went viral without even throwing a pass? Drop your take in the comments and hit that subscribe button. Because if this is how loud it gets before Shedeur takes the field, just wait till he does.